Hello and welcome. My name is Elise. For those of you who are new, I'm glad that you joined me here to watch my video. Today we're going to do a repeated stamping technique on a slimline card size, and this would be really easy to replicate and just a great encouragement card to send out. So let's get into it. I've got my supplies here. I have got the smallest of the stitched slimline card dies and this You Rock stamp set. It's nice and small, so the price point is really great. And there's that die. And you can see I'm just going to be able to stamp a bunch of those onto that die. Let's get into the stamping now. I'm only going to show you me stamping one of these. I end up stamping 4, but you get the gist and you don't want to watch 5 minutes of me stamping. I don't blame you at all. So I'm just going to take some Hero Arts Intense Black ink. I am going to Copic color this image, and so I need to use a ink that is alcohol marker safe. This is a brand new stamp, so I did have to stamp it a couple times the first time, and then every other time that I stamped it, I only had to stamp it once. So what I basically did was I stamped the bottom stamp, I went up and stamped the top stamp, and then did the two in between and just try to get the spacing as well as I can. But you'll see they're not perfectly spaced and they're not perfectly lined up, and you know that's okay with me. I think sometimes handmade is supposed to be imperfect. Okay, so now that I've got that stamping done, I'm going to move on and do the sentiment and the little music notes. So I've got that You Rock and the music notes, and I'm going to stamp these with VersaFine Onyx Black Pigment ink, just so that I get a really crisp image. It's the darkest black that I have found for sentiments. So I'm just going ahead and stamping that down. I do stamp it a second time, but I really didn't need to just because this ink pad is pretty juicy and gives a great result. Just using my sweatshirt sleeve to slide over and make sure I get a good impression. Now we can get into the Copic coloring. So you can see my card panel there with all of the little mixtapes, and I've got here is a look at all of the Copic markers that I'm going to be using, and let's get into the coloring. So I have this sped up 4 times because I'm just doing some pretty basic shading where on the outsides I am doing it darker, and then moving into the insides is lighter. So nothing horribly fancy here, and because there's 4 of them, I'm basically just doing the same shading every time. So not that exciting, so I thought I'd speed it up 4 times. I hope everybody is doing well. If you watch this when I post it, then it is April 2020 and we are all inside of our homes. My husband and I have been keeping a tally, and so when this video goes up, we will have been inside on stay-home orders for 33 days, which seems like a really long time, but honestly, it's been fine for us. I usually work from home. I have a job in which I work from home all the time, so it doesn't bother me to be home. And my husband and I are pretty big homebodies, so we've been doing okay, although it was really funny. Today, I put on the exact same outfit that I wore yesterday, because if I didn't go outside in my clothes, are they actually dirty? Probably not. So, wearing the same thing I wore yesterday, because it's still clean, because it didn't go anywhere yesterday, and I'm not going anywhere today. I think I probably miss the most about our regular lives is eating a meal that somebody else prepared that I did not make. I mean, of course, outside of like seeing family and friends, that's definitely the thing that I miss the most. I wish I could eat a meal that I didn't make myself. Let me know in the comments down below how you are doing. I'd love to hear how you're doing, how you're coping. I know some people are coping a lot better than others, and I know if you're having a hard time for this, know that I am thinking about you and I hope that this resolves itself soon. And I also hope that none of you are sick or have family members who are sick. I know that that would be really, really hard. Thankfully, all of my family, no one is sick. No one has, gotten sick with it. We know very few people who have, but of course, praying for all of those people who are sick or have been sick. So that's just a little bit about me and what's going on in my world right now, and I'm sure it's pretty similar to what's going on in your worlds. So I'm just going through and finishing up this coloring. I kind of just picked cool tone colors that would match really well with that gray. I think it's so funny because there's probably a whole generation of people who don't know what these are. Never had a cassette tape, which is so funny to me. Okay, so now I am going to fussy cut out these music notes and the rock sentiment. I will not be showing you all of this fussy cutting because I am not good at fussy cutting. So, just going to show you a snippet. I fussy cut out all of those music notes. I just leave a little bit of a border as if I had a die. But again, I'm not a smooth fussy cutter. If you look at these closely, there's jagged edges. I don't know how people do it. If you've got good fussy cutting tips, let me know in the comments down below. So I cut out all of the music notes, and then I move on to that "You Rock" sentiment. Just get that cut out the best that I can. I'm just using Tim Holtz scissors here. Probably not the best for fussy cutting, but I really don't know what are. Again, give me your fussy cutting tips. Leave them in the comments down below. Do you like fussy cutting, or have you abandoned it altogether? Once I've got these cut out, I am going to move on to making my card base. I'm going to use some Neenah Desert Storm for my card base. The card size ends up being 3.5 by 8.5. So this is a 7-inch by 8.5-inch card base that I'm scoring at 3.5 inches, which on my scoreboard shows up as the 4-bar size card. Of course, my scoreboard isn't big enough, so I have to flip it over, but that's not a big deal. So I'm going to take away my scoreboard and just score this really well so that it stays nice and closed, but I do end up putting a little bit of post-it tape in there to keep it closed while I put it together. But overall, I just love this slimline size. I think it's so much fun. Let me know if you are interested and are loving this size as well. So now that I've got my card base made, I am going to take a bunch of foam tape and pop up that panel with my little cassette tapes on it. So just ripping off the backing of that foam tape, and then I'll center it on to my panel. Just going to make sure I have it lined up and then press down. I've also added some foam tape to the back of that "You Rock" sentiment. And I am just going to go ahead and adhere that down to make it look like it's coming out of the cassette. I think this is so much fun. I realized that I wish that "You Rock" was darker. And so I go in with a black Zig Clean Color Real Brush marker pen. I would have used Copic markers, but I used that VersaFine ink to stamp down this, and I didn't want it to run. So just went ahead and just pulled out a Zig really quick to do that. By the way, all of the supplies that I am using are listed and linked down below in case you want to check out anything specifically. Those links are affiliate links, so I do make a small commission if you use them, but it doesn't cost you anything and just allows me, honestly, to buy more stamps so that I can share more with you guys. So thank you if you use those links. I would really appreciate it. So just finishing up coloring that sentiment, and you can see I've got those music notes down already also with a little bit of foam tape. Always foam tape on everything, you guys. I realized I wished that there was a little bit something extra, so I got out these little white pearls. They're so fun, and I'm just gluing them down, just a few scattered across the card. And that just really adds a little something extra. Thought about using like a glossy accents or tonic crystal glaze, which is my preference to glossy accents. But I don't know, these little embellishments were calling my name today. So I added those on. They've almost got a little bit of like a holographic shift to them where the colors in the mixtape really match the colors in the pearls. And that finishes off my card. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you can see more from me, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks so much.